Pia wewe wachana na my cousin Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka. Wacha kutumania yeye na kumsumbua.
Shida ya Daktari Fred Matiang'i na Gachagua ilianzia wapi? Let me just give you a story. Let me give you an analyzation on why is the rift between Daktari Fred Matiang'i and the DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua. Actually, ilianza hivi. Matiang'i is not angry because the DCP won in Olkalau. That is what you should know. But DCP won. Congratulations to DCP. Congratulations because Samingoda won. But that is not easy. That part is easy. The problem begins when some people start mocking Jubilee as if they arrived yesterday and found the bath already weak. DCP haikuja ipate Jubilee iko weak. But remember, Rigathi Gachagua, President William Ruto, they were together. And they both fought Jubilee and won. Actually split it. Remember, Ruto was almost taking up Jubilee. Remember that. Excuse me. Let us open the political CCTV so that we can see what I'm saying. Rigathi Gachagua was not a neutral spectator when Jubilee was being torn apart. He was part and parcel of the political rebellion against the Jubilee establishment. He fought Uhuru Kenyatta politically. He celebrated Jubilee's decline. He was among those people, according to the information we have, ambao waliharibu shamba la Uhuru in Ruilu. He helped make the party toxic among section of Mount Kenya. Remember Kanini Kega and Sabina Chege? And somewhere along the way, Jubilee was reduced to jokes like Red Wheelbarrow. Now, today, after DCP wins Olkalau, it won some days ago, the same camp wants to stand outside Jubilee House and laugh. Wamesahau, wao ndio waliharibu Jubilee. Rigathi Gachagua wamesahau. Eti hii nyumba imechoka. Imechoka how? Hence, you are part and parcel of those people who are destroying the party. Remember, you can spend years throwing stones at someone's house, help break their windows, chase away some of the tenants, then move next door and start shouting, "Look, their house is empty." No, that is not the way. That is why Matiang'i's response should not automatically be interpreted as jealousy. There is a difference between I'm happy or I'm unhappy, DCP won, and stop pretending Jubilee weakened by itself. Those are two completely different arguments. And this is where Mount Kenya politics keeps becoming unnecessary childish. Every new party wants to prove the old party dead. Every new leader wants to become a kingpin. Every new election becomes coronation. Every crowd becomes the whole mountain. DCP winning Olkalau is politically significant. It tells us about something the ground is saying. It tells us still command serious people energy in Mount Kenya is led by Gachagua. But one by-election cannot rewrite the history of Jubilee, Uhuru, 2022, the rebellion inside Mount Kenya, or the deliberate demonstrations of political house. And if Rigathi genuinely wants to unite Mount Kenya someday, there is one word he may eventually have to learn. Sorry. Not because Jubilee must return to power, not because Uhuru must remain the kingpin, but because reconciliation cannot begin with, "I helped destroy your house, now come and live in mine." Remember, it has been on public domain. Rigathi asking some parties in the mountain to forge and kujiunga na yeye. That is a big joke. So please, don't dance so hard that you forget who helped create the rains you are now enjoying. Hata wanasema DCP Jubilee imekwisha. Jubilee ilimalizwa na Gachagua by himself while under Ruto's hands. But Matiang'i was in Murang'a yesterday. There is something interesting about this politics from Matiang'i. Not a giant Larry. There were no hired choir. no helicopters landing, no politicians shouting, hii ni ngoma yetu. No. Most of the people say hii ni ngome yetu. So, yesterday, Dr. Fred Okengo Matiang'i has been doing a very slow moves and strategically targeting the mountain. And slowly, the mountain is moving into his side. Just Matiang'i walking through an ordinary homestead, greeting families, talking to residents, and even carrying a child. And perhaps that is exactly why the picture matters a lot. I guess you've seen the picture. Matiang'i was in Kandara for a burial. And that exactly our context should be respected. But along the way, he met local residents and several familiar Jubilee figures from the region. Now, you are not going to see on the newspaper that Matiang'i was in Murang'a. No. One visit does not become an election. But neither should we ignore what is slowly happening, because Matiang'i is moving very slowly. But sure, for several years, Mount Kenya politics has been presented to us like rental property. Wanasema, you can rent a Kikuyu, but you cannot buy a Kikuyu. First, Jubilee owns the mountain, then UDA owns the mountain. Now, they are saying DCP owns the mountain. Excuse me. Who issued the title deed? Nani alipeana title deed ya mountain? Hakuna. The mountain belongs to voters, and voters are allowed to listen to everybody. What I find more important in these paragraphs is not Matiang'i himself, it is environment around him. Look at the homes, look at the roads, look at ordinary families. Just look at these pictures that I'm putting here. That is where 2027 convention eventually must land. Who is the kingpin? Where is the water? Where is the medicine? Where are the jobs? Is the school property funded? Can an ambulance reach his home? Does this road remain unusable when it rains? Those are some of the questions we should ask as Kenyans. Does this road remain usable? Can these families switch on and off electricity without fearing the bills? That is examination. Every presidential candidate should sit. Matiang'i included, Rigathi Gachagua included, Ruto included, everybody in the opposition and in the government. And perhaps this is where politics may be changing. A voter can respect Rigathi Gachagua politically and still listen to Matiang'i. A voter can belong to DCP and vote differently, or maybe for Ruto. A Jubilee supporter can vote for good, or maybe can vote for DCP governor. That is democracy. We should stop becoming unpaid soldiers defending politicians who will later seal together in hotels and negotiate for their own. Let them compete. Let them explain. Let them walk through these villages. Let Wanjiku should ask only one question. Ukikuja State House, what changes here? Si kwamba kukuja kutupea 200. Those are some of the questions they should be asking themselves. Now, Matiang'i is doing it slowly. Just watch and see how Matiang'i will walk all through these villages na aipuke kuwa mshindi. Kindly, the rift between Matiang'i and Rigathi Gachagua is all about Jubilee Party. Make sure you subscribe, like,